So I'm modifying, in this case, a pot into protection for a tree. You'll notice this is a fig tree, and I started it in this little pot. It is doing great, and the way that you do figs is that you just put a clipping in there and keep it really wet, and hopefully it'll take off. Doesn't happen 100% of the time, but it did in this case. So when I put trees in my yard like this, and I have fruit trees and things that I mow around, I don't like the idea of hitting them with my weed whacker, because I can be careful, but I can be clumsy too. So what I did in this case is I had this little pot, and I put the clipping in there, and then I dug a nice hole and stuck it in there. You can see now that the tree is prospering. The roots are growing through the hole. That actually ends up being a Roma tomato. You can see it in there. So it's pretty wet because they've got an irrigation system and it's sprayed there. By the end of the day, that'll all be dried off. But right now, it's a little tomato growing through there. So cool. So if you want to put something in the yard and you're nervous about hitting it with your weed whacker or string trimmer, whatever you want to call it, get a ceramic or metal pot and sink it into the ground with holes in the bottom, and the roots will make their way through. Now I have a plastic one I'm going to show you too, but this is great protection for weed whackers. The things that you wrap around the trunk of a tree, or in this case a sapling, those move. I mean, I hit those with my weed whacker and they just take off. These are the plastic ones I'm telling you about. I kind of have this one almost just to sort of prevent possible impact from the weed whacker, but you can tell I don't really need to go in too close here, so I'll just probably, like, I'll hit that sucker and some of those dandelions, but it helps with that. But in general, if this were out in the middle of the yard, I wouldn't be that comfortable. So I would go back. When I planted this tree, this is what I used, and now I've changed it to using pots, and I would have left the tree in the pot that I bought it in and just fortified that somehow, because these, when you hit these with a string trimmer, man, they just fly right off. This is a grapefruit tree that I started in this pot, and it's doing great. You can see there's lawn around here, and I trim around it, but the pot itself is getting beat up by the sun, and it's not going to last. So I wish I would have put this in a ceramic one, and I'm going to have to do something. This tree is doing pretty good, and it started from seed, so I want to keep it. But you can tell if you're just getting those regular black planter pots that it doesn't really take the elements that well over time. And this has been buried like this for a couple years, and I'm going to have to leave it the way it is. I probably could sneak another pot over it somehow, but I like the idea of just buying a pot and adding or using the existing holes and just leaving it there till the tree breaks out of it on its own.